The quality of your hub can be a significant source of friction or mechanical resistance as the wheel rotates. Luckily, it's fairly straightforward to do something about it. The number of components involved are very few. They are reasonably well accessible with minimal amount of skills, tools and time. In this video, I'm going to show you what's inside the hub, how the components go back together, and I'm going to replace my low-grade, no-name, made in China, low-quality bearing with a top-of-the-line premium brand Skf Bearing. So, let's get started with inside the hub. The hub, and hear me out here please, a hub is just a hub. Just a chunk of metal forged or cast, some surfaces are machined into it. You can see this one has some shoulders made into it. Looks like this. So this is all there is to it. That's hub one side and hub the other side. There. Just a smooth bore inside and two shoulders here for two different diameter components to fit in. Very straightforward, yes? Now, this is my argument here. It doesn't really matter what brand of hub you have, because this is just a chunk of metal body. You're not rolling on your hub, you're rolling on your bearings. The quality of your bearings is critical. The shape of the hub, the brand of the hub, the aerodynamic qualities of the hub. Okay, I'm just painting with a broad brush here. Okay, just go with it, just get my argument. The aerodynamic qualities of the hub matter very little, because most of the resistance comes out of the quality of the bearing that's installed. This one here is some kind of untraceable, unheard of Amigo brand bearing, looking like this. And there, made in China probably. If I remove the seals, they pop out. They have been removed. They pop out with a little more force to it. This is how the bearings look like. There's a shoulder machined into the outer ring of the bearing for housing the seal, but no matching shoulder on the inner ring there. This being in a hub, it gets wet, it gets rained on all the time, and it's fairly close to the edge of the hub here. The quality of the seal is really important here if you're using your bicycle in rain, because a seal that doesn't interlock, geometrically interlock with the inner ring here, is going to last significantly less time than a premium brand bearing with properly made seals. I'm not going to take one of these apart to show you. No, you can just go on SKF's website and take a look at their seal design detail. They have lots of engineering drawings and everything on it and detail. So this is how this made in China bearing looks like. It is somewhat of a rattle after, let's see, about 300 hours of operation was on this wheel, so the bearings rolled for 300 hours, that is it. So they are somewhat of a rattle already, side to side or up or down. They shouldn't be this worn and this rattly only after 300 hours, but this is what manufacturers do. They market a bicycle with some kind of rim on it. Now the shape of the rim is way more important than the shape of the hub, but so they just slap on whatever grade rim and whatever spokes, butted or whatever, just throw something in there, and the cheapest possible bearing that can come off the shelf, press fit it in place. It's a very straightforward process. This size of bearings are installed and removed with mechanical means. I'll show you. and how the bearing rolls. This has been cleaned from grease and everything else that was in it. It looks like it's woo, it's spinning, it's happy, but if I hold it close to the microphone, it's gritty. It's crunchy. It's not entirely rolling happily. It's rolling alright now when it's clean, but it's not entirely all that clean and all that well inside. So this is trash. It was trash the minute it was made, with its idiotic seal design that was never made to be used in rain, and as such it could work on a dry weather only road bicycle. This was installed on a cyclocross bicycle. Not really a good idea. So in terms of components, let me show you how these fit into the hub. On this stepped end of the hub, you can see the bearing just fits in right there, and it needs a little bit of tapping to drive it in place. I'll show you the tools that I use. So that's the bearing, and of course there's going to be a bearing on the opposite side as well. Between the two bearings there will be this there will be this spacer inside the hub. The spacer as is has these two O-rings on them, just like so. This is how it came out, plus a little grease. So this just falls through the hub just like so. Okay, so this is just a spacer. Now, so tap one bearing in place here. Tap one bearing in place, put the spacer in, tap the other bearing in place, and then put these two end fittings on it. The end fitting is a two-component part. This holds your, in this case, 15mm axle. This is how it looks like, and it allows this to turn a bit, and it's gonna move a little bit this way. That's fine. That's how it's been designed. So let me show you this retainer ring. It also has some steps machined onto it there on the outside, on one corner, and on the inside you have a step on it in the opposite direction. Nope, in the same direction, my bad. There, you can kind of see it. I'm working with the light here. And this has an O-ring on it as well. Needs a little lubricant to keep that rain out. So they go together like so, and they will go on top of the bearing like this. They just fit on top of the bearing. Now this retainer ring is bigger than the bearing, so this is how they go together. That's why there are two shoulders machined into the hub here. Very straightforward, yes? So in terms of installing a bearing, let me just put these on the ground, all of them, because I'm gonna do it right here on this piece of block of wood. In terms of installing a bearing, this inside the hub is gonna be an outer ring interference fit. What this means is that the bearing with a tight fit and is tapped in place. Tight fit against the hub, the outer ring on the bearing against the hub. So it needs to be tapped in place, driving it forward by the outer ring, leaving the inner ring alone. If you hit the inner ring, it's gonna stress the cage assembly inside the bearing. Let me just show you. There are the rolling elements, the bearing balls, and you can't really see the balls themselves because they are held in place by this riveted cage. Okay, it's a soft sheet metal cage that's riveted in place. Now, it's a very soft sheet metal cage, so if you hit the inside ring, it's gonna, I'm gonna try to show you, it's gonna deflect and deform that cage. Alright, it doesn't really deflect much, but that's how it was removed from the hub. Once it's in the hub, the outer ring is not really accessible. It has to be tapped out with a, not a screwdriver, some kind of a pin driver that you can hit the outer ring with, and it's going to be driven out from the hub. That's how it was removed. So that stressed the cage already enough, making it even wobblier than it ever was. So don't hit the inner ring if it's an outer ring interference fit, such as this one for the hub. For this to achieve, you need something that's as big as the outer ring. A pipe, a sleeve, something that fits and touches only the outer ring. I know only the outer ring is touched because I can verify that the inner ring is left alone with this sleeve that I'm going to use. And I'm also going to use this socket because it is such a small bearing. It doesn't need excessive force to tap it in place. Now, the socket here has a chamfered edge. Take a look at it. It's a little bit rounded, so that rounded edge can run down and damage the seal there and dig in. So if you are not comfortable doing this, you can find a socket that has maybe less of a round over here and drives it forward. But for whatever you do, this would be the worst idea to do, to drive it by the seal and by the inner ring. Okay, so you have to find an appropriate sized tool. The retainer ring pops in place fairly easily. I'm gonna drive it with this socket about this size. You kind of get the idea, and it needs just a little bit of tapping with this one in it, because the inside of the socket will clear everything on this little spacer here. And of course everything has to be lubricated. So everything meaning this, as well as the hub inside here, so the components can glide in place with the least amount of force, ideally. So I have here a bucket of grease or so, literally. Don't tell my wife I took it out of the kitchen. And it just needs a dab, like so. It doesn't have to be a nice quality grease, because this grease is not part of the rolling action. This is just making the surfaces greasy so the bearing pops in place or glides in place as much as it can. Well, I need a rag. Just give me a sec for a hand wipe. Good. Alright. Sorry about that. Alright. Let's get... Oh, of course I need a small hammer. That small hammer, in this case, is looking like this. Looks like a big hammer. Don't worry about it. You can use a piece of stone for this if you like. Now, so here is the new Skf bearing. Just dropped it on the ground, just wiping the dirt from the bearing, and for good measure I also put some grease on the seal, and and this is the side that's going to go down facing the spacer. The spacer's end here will also be generously lubricated, so the two of them will be inside the hub in this kind of configuration. Let me just focus the camera so you can see this a little better. Thereabouts, so you get the idea. The spacer will touch the inner ring, but should any water get inside here for whatever reason, this grease is helping the seal do its job and keep the moisture out. So I'm gonna put this one greasy side down first, like so. And to get it started, I need one tap with this wider tool. That's it. That was close enough to one tap, because this tool is too wide to fit into the hub, but the second one will be the size that fits into a hub and we'll be able to drive the bearing in. But this is just to get it started. Now, it's important to get it started as squarely as possible. Let's take a look at it. One corner kind of popped in, the other corner here has not yet, so it needs a little leveling. So I'm gonna center this sleeve, but I'm gonna hit it on this side here, like so. Does not need any excessive force. So now it's in level with the surface here. So now we can drive it forward with this smaller tool here that can slip off to the left and right, but I'm trying to keep it centered because I really don't want to damage that seal, about which I just said that it's critical. Now, because this tool is just barely large enough to fit inside the hub, it's going to be centered really well throughout the entire process without slipping off the outer ring. Like so. Let's have a look at the progress here. You can see it's gone in 1 millimeter. It's doing fine. It's gonna be done this way, and it can be done this way. So it's gonna need some more time to press it in place properly, and of course there are all kinds of other tools available for mechanical installation, but this is such a small bearing that you're gonna be hard pressed to find one that's this small. So this is how it's gonna go in. Okay.